One, two, three, four. Okay, we're live.
Okay, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all over the world, wherever you are. Welcome to the Movement Radio, where we discuss interesting issues, interesting package. And today we are here again. We have all the crew members, everybody ready, well seated, and ready to for a smooth ride. And you are all welcome wherever you are in all the platforms that we have. Twitter, Facebook, X, Twitch, and all other social media platforms that you are streaming from. You are all welcome. This is Abdullah Talisu from Abuja, correspondent of the Movement Radio, and I hand over the mic to our brother from Lagos.
Thank you so very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen, compatriots and well wishers of the Nigerian and African project. We greet you very respectfully from wherever you may be tuning into our broadcast for today. As we have promised last Tuesday, here we are again, streaming live and direct, and we are poised to get you wholesome content and to analyze very fantastic articles for you to get informed and to become conscientized towards our collective liberation. And the Movement Radio is very much clear in its mission to change narratives and, of course, set the record straight. And I am so glad, alongside other panelists here, and I look forward to the participation of the Nigerian people to pick up the mic and speak across all platforms. We have given our audience, choices to make, in terms of joining us across all platforms. Just have to cherry pick which one. But when it comes to interaction or perhaps getting in touch with us, it is X that we have indeed dedicated. Our audio broadcast on X is live. Please opt in and let's have this discussion. Feel free to pick up the mic and we will get the conversation started. And on that note, I pass the mic to the Movement Radio Chicago. Then we would get things started.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's east, north, southwest, wherever your geographical location is. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Movement Radio. Today we've got interesting opinions by Nigerians who are concerned about the liberation of the Nigerian people. And we are here to educate, enlighten, and free the minds of Africans so that they can literally liberate themselves from this bondage of the pseudo-democracy we say to be practicing. We say welcome. Thank you all for joining us. If you're joining us from X, we say welcome and thank you. If you're joining us from YouTube, we say welcome and thank you. If you're joining us from TikTok, we say welcome and thank you. If you're joining us from Instagram, we say welcome and thank you. Please, you can participate by leaving your comments, your likes, dislikes, addition, subtraction in any of these pages that we have open for you. We are now live on all medium. Please leave your comment. We will read them, share them. We thank you for being a strong participant in this struggle to free the Nigerian people from the hands of rapacious evil men that have captured our government. Welcome to the Movement Radio. We are an alternative source of news media. We don't do news, we don't do headline, we don't regurgitate what the oppressors and the ruiners of the countries have to say. What we do is give informative articles or things that are relevant to our struggle for survival, things that can help us, save us, and protect us in the future as we deal with these issues. So welcome again from all angles. We are going to start today's article by first of all showing you a video of a message before we read our first article regarding from a Nigerian regarding the issue of fuel and oil and how the pain we are going through fuel before the advocates of I don't know even what to call them, the advocates of people, advocates who come here to defend why we should pay heavily. We have a counter argument here. So we're going to start our show today by showing you that. Let's put that on the screen so that you can be a party to that, and then we'll start with our first article. So welcome again to the Movement Radio. Let us listen to what this lady has to say for us.
Something I keep seeing whenever we talk about fuel prices is this argument that Nigerians are actually paying one of the cheapest fuel prices in the world. People share charts showing the global average is around 1,990 naira per liter. And because we're paying below that, we're supposed to be grateful. If someone sends you that argument, just send them this video. Because a price is only cheap if the people can actually afford to pay it. The real question is not what you're paying at the filling station. It's how many hours you have to work just to pay for 1 liter. So let me show you what I mean. If we line up countries by the pump price of 1 liter, Nigeria looks like a good deal. Places like Hong Kong, the Netherlands, and the UK are paying anywhere from 2 to 5 times what we pay. Even America and Canada are paying more than us. And Nigeria, sitting at around 1,200 naira, looks like we are winning on paper. But this is the question we should actually be asking. How long does a worker have to work just to afford 1 liter based on minimum wage in each country? An American worker clocks in, gets settled at their desk, checks their emails, and by the time they look up, they've already earned enough for a liter of fuel. That's just 6 minutes of work. Canada, 8 minutes. The UK, 9 minutes. Even Hong Kong, the most expensive city on this list, 20 minutes. Now Nigeria. Our minimum wage is 70,000 naira a month. And even that, according to this week's Punch newspaper, most states have still not paid it. The NLC is already planning street protests for May Day because of it. But even if you collect that full 70,000 naira, it works out to about 437 naira per hour. So to buy that same 1 liter of fuel, a Nigerian worker has to work for 2 hours and 44 minutes. 164 minutes of work for 1 liter. But wait, that 164 minutes, that is actually the optimistic version of this story. The National Bureau of Statistics tells us that nearly 93% of Nigerians work in the informal sector. We are talking about the woman selling roasted corn by the roadside, the man selling things in traffic, the petty trader, the roadside mechanic, the farm worker. For these people, there is no minimum wage. There is no HR department. There is no labor union fighting for their salary. Many of them are earning far less than 400 naira an hour. So for that woman selling roasted corn, 1 liter of fuel is not 164 minutes of work. It could be her entire morning's profit. Every kobo she made from the moment she set up her stall to the moment the sun gets too hot to stand outside, gone for 1 liter. And when fuel prices go up, these are not people who cut back on Netflix or stop going to the movies. They cut back on food. They pull their children out of school because the transport fare has doubled and they simply cannot afford both. For 93% of this country, it is not an economic adjustment. It is a fight for survival. And let's also talk about the taxes Nigerians are paying that nobody puts in a chart. When you buy fuel for your generator because there is no light, that is a tax. When you pay for a private borehole because there is no pipe-borne water, that is a tax. When you have to repair your car suspension every few months because the roads are broken, that is a tax. We are paying for everything the government is supposed to provide, out of our own pockets, on top of the fuel we can barely afford. So the next time someone shows you a chart saying our fuel is cheap, show them the clock. And then show them the woman by the roadside who worked all morning just to afford the fuel that brought her there. Because 6 minutes and an entire morning's profit are not the same thing. Nigeria does not have cheap fuel. We have expensive poverty. And no chart will ever show you that. Something I keep seeing whenever we talk about fuel prices is this argument that Nigerians are actually paying one of the cheapest fuel prices in the world. People share charts showing the global average is around 1,990 naira per liter. And because we're paying below that, we're supposed to be grateful. If someone sends you that argument, just send them this video. Because a price is only cheap if the people can actually afford to pay it. The real question is not what you're paying at the filling station. It's how many hours you have to work just to pay for 1 liter. So let me show you what I mean. If we line up countries by the pump price of 1 liter, Nigeria looks like a good deal. Places like Hong Kong, the Netherlands, and the UK are paying anywhere from 2 to 5 times what we pay. Even America and Canada are paying more than us. And Nigeria, sitting at around 1,200 naira, looks like we are winning on paper. But this is the question we should actually be asking. How long does a worker have to work just to afford 1 liter based on minimum wage in each country? An American worker clocks in, gets settled at their desk, checks their emails, and by the time they look up, they've already earned enough for a liter of fuel. That's just 6 minutes of work. Canada, 8 minutes. The UK, 9 minutes. Even Hong Kong, the most expensive city on this list, 20 minutes. Now, Nigeria. Our minimum wage is 70,000 naira a month. And even that, according to this week's Punch newspaper, most states have still not paid it. The NLC is already planning street protests for May Day because of it. But even if you collect that full 70,000 naira, it works out to about 437 naira per hour. So to buy that same 1 liter of fuel, a Nigerian worker has to work for 2 hours and 44 minutes. 164 minutes of work for 1 liter. But wait, that 164 minutes, that is actually the optimistic version of this story. The National Bureau of Statistics tells us that nearly 93% of Nigerians work in the informal sector. We are talking about the woman selling roasted corn by the roadside, the man selling things in traffic, the petty trader, the roadside mechanic, the farm worker. For these people, there is no minimum wage. There is no HR department. There is no labor union fighting for their salary. Many of them are earning far less than 400 naira an hour. So for that woman selling roasted corn, 1 liter of fuel is not 164 minutes of work. It could be her entire morning's profit. Every kobo she made from the moment she set up her stall to the moment the sun gets too hot to stand outside. Gone for 1 liter. And when fuel prices go up, these are not people who cut back on Netflix or stop going to the movies. They cut back on food. They pull their children out of school because the transport fare has doubled and they simply cannot afford both. For 93% of this country, it is not an economic adjustment. It is a fight for survival. And let's also talk about the taxes Nigerians are paying that nobody puts in a chart. When you buy fuel for your generator because there is no light, that is a tax. When you pay for a private borehole because there is no pipe-borne water, that is a tax. When you have to repair your car suspension every few months because the roads are broken, that is a tax. We are paying for everything the government is supposed to provide out of our own pockets, on top of the fuel we can barely afford. So the next time someone shows you a chart saying our fuel is cheap, show them the clock. And then show them the woman by the roadside who worked all morning just to afford the fuel that brought her there. Because 6 minutes and an entire morning's profit are not the same thing. Nigeria does not have cheap fuel.
I think the video is on repeat. I think we've done justice to it.
People share charts showing the global average
Okay.
around 1,990 naira.
No problem.
And because we're paying below that, we're supposed
The video is still
Perfect.
playing.
No,
Okay, okay,
off. It's off now.
okay.
Now
So,
we're going to move to our first article. Yeah, your
Absolutely.
side. Ibukun.
Yo, thank you so very much. We are moving straight away to our first article for today. Just a minute. And the title is indeed the title of this of today's broadcast. Okay, so the silence that built our God, our gods. Let me just quickly read through it, the entire thing, and we would now break it down using the summarizer. Then that will be that should set the tune. All right, the silence that built our gods. Why Nigeria's culture of quiet obedience is not African culture, and why it must end. A leader is not born a god. A people built him one, brick by brick, silence by silence, and then kneel before what their own quiet hands assembled. I mean, the throne we built with our own silence. Somewhere between independence and today, Nigerians were taught a lie so effectively, it now passes for wisdom. That keeping quiet is the mark of a well-raised person, that questioning a leader is disrespect, that patience is a virtue, even when patience is a thing being exploited. This lie has a name. It calls itself culture. It is not culture. It is conditioning, and there is a difference between the two that this country can no longer afford to blur. Consider the mechanics of what actually happens when a citizenry goes quiet. A governor is not born powerful. He becomes powerful in direct proportion to how much scrutiny is spared. A president does not seize impunity. A silent public hands it to him. Installment by installment, every time an outrage passes without consequence. Divinity in Nigeria politics, it's not conferred by God. It is conferred by the absence of a question. Make a leader answer for nothing, and in time, he will begin to believe he holds nothing. And it will be right, because a people who do not ask are a people who have already answered. Here is a quote. If you make a leader a god, he will act like one. If you make him unanswerable, he will act like a servant. The choice, uncomfortably, has always belonged to the people, not the palace. The first subheading, the myth of the silent African. The most dangerous part of this conditioning is the claim that it is traditional, that our ancestors were quiet, differential, unquestioning of authority, and that a properly raised African child inherits that same closed mouth. This is historically false, and it is worth saying so plainly, because a lie about where we come from is being used to control where we are going. Pre-colonial Yoruba governance built accountability directly into the architecture of power. The Alaafin of Oyo, however, exalted, did not rule alone or unchecked. The Oyomesi, a council of chieftains led by the Bashorun, held real authority to challenge royal decisions, and in case of grave misrule, could compel the king's removal through ritual means, an extreme but unmistakable statement that no throne in that system was above judgment. A second institution, the Ogboni Society, functioned as a further check, a body of elders with religious and judicial standing, whose role was to hold even the chieftaincy accountable to custom and communal welfare. Power in that system was never a monologue. It was checked, questioned, and when necessary, withdrawn. Travel east and the picture sharpens further. Igbo political tradition famously produced no centralized monarchy at all in most communities. Decisions moved through councils of elders, age grades, and titled societies, a structure historians and political scientists have long pointed to as one of the more genuinely participatory systems on the continent. The idea that obedience to unquestioned authority is our inheritance does not survive contact with our own history. What we actually inherited was a habit of holding power to account, a habit that colonial administration worked hard to break, replacing councils and sheikhs with single, unaccountable district officers and warrant chiefs answerable only upwards, never downward. Military rule after independence finished the job, criminalizing dissent and training generations to associate a raised voice with danger rather than duty. So when a Nigerian is told today that questioning leadership is an un-African, disrespectful, or Western import, the accurate response is not defensiveness, it is correction. Silence in the face of misrule is not our culture. It is the residue of two successive systems, colonial and military, that needed us quiet to function. And it has outlived both of them because no one has formally dismantled it. The next subheading, what the silence has cost in numbers. Abstractions are easy to dismiss. Data is harder. Nigerians' own institutions and independent monitors have spent the last 2 years documenting in granular detail what a culture of unaccountable leadership actually produces. Public trust has not merely eroded, it has collapsed. The Africa Polling Institute 2025 Nigeria Social Cohesion Survey found that 83% of Nigerians expressed little or no trust in federal government, with comparably grim figures for the National Assembly and the judiciary. The lowest confidence level recorded since the survey began tracking these numbers in 2019. Transparency International's 2025 Corruption Perception Index scored Nigeria 26 points out of a possible 100, ranking the country 142nd of 182 nations assessed. A slide from the previous year and a score that has now stagnated for 2 consecutive cycles despite repeated government pledges of reform. Nigeria sits well below the global average score of 43 and behind more than 30 other African nations. Afrobarometer's most recent rounds of surveys, covering 39 African countries, found trust in a political institution weakening across the continent, with parliaments, political parties, and local government councils trusted least of all. And the same Search Network's 2024 Nigerian Dispatch found that a majority of citizens say government treats members of their group unfairly, at least sometimes. A separate Afrobarometer Round 10 summary recorded that only 13% of Nigerian citizens say the electricity supply works most or all of the time, and found that the share of young Nigerians who say they have thought seriously about immigrating has tripled since 2017. Even press freedom, the mechanism by which a public is supposed to learn what its leaders are doing, has been under sustained pressure. Reporters Without Borders ranked Nigeria 122nd of 180 countries in its 2025 World Press Freedom Index. A 10th place fall attributed to governmental interference, harassment, and arrest of journalists, including cases in which reporters were detained simply for publishing stories that embarrassed powerful officials. The 2026 index showed a modest recovery to 112th, but Nigeria remains, in RSF's own language, among the more dangerous countries in the world for journalists, with a cybercrime law still routinely used to intimidate the press. None of these numbers describe a leadership class restrained by an alert citizenry. They describe the opposite: institutions that have learned correctly that very little will happen to them if they underperform, because the cost of public silence is paid quietly by ordinary people in the currency of blackouts, stolen gadgets, and diminished futures, never by the officials responsible. The psychology of manufactured God. There is a reason silence is more comfortable than confrontation, and it deserves to be named honestly rather than moralized away. Decades of military rule taught Nigerians, sometimes through direct violence, that visible dissent could cost a career, a freedom, or a life. Economic precarity teaches that same lesson daily in a gentler register. A citizen surviving hand to mouth has little appetite to add a confrontation with power to an already overloaded list of daily battles. And a certain reading of religious fatalism, the idea that all authority is divinely permitted and therefore not to be challenged, offers a confronting exit from the harder work of civic responsibility. Each of these pressures is real. None of them individually is shameful, but their cumulative effect is a citizenry that has, without a quiet deciding to, outsourced its judgment to the very people it should be judging. And leadership, like any human behavior, expands to fill the space it is given. Tell a man enough times, through your silence, that he is untouchable, and he will eventually stop performing restraints, because restraint was never his idea. It was supposed to be yours, expressed through the pressure of an alert public. Remove the pressure and you will remove the restraint. This is not a mystery. It is physics applied to power. There's a quote here: a God is not created by worship alone. A God is created by the absence of anyone willing to ask him an uncomfortable question. Proof that the noise works. It would be dishonest to write an essay about the cost of silence without acknowledging the clearest counter evidence Nigeria itself has produced. The moment when citizens refused to be quiet and power moved because of it. Afrobarometer own 2024 Continental Report cites Nigerians' EndSARS mobilization, organized largely through social media and sustained street pressure, as a case study in ordinary citizens compelling institutional response through coordinated, persistent voice, standing along a small number of similar episodes elsewhere on the continent. The lesson of that moment was never that noise alone fixes governance overnight. It does not. And the underlying grievances that produce it remain largely unsolved years later. The lessons is narrower and more useful, that Nigeria institutions do, in fact, respond to sustained, organized public pressure, and that the default assumption of powerlessness so many citizens carry is not supported by the country's own recent history. Silence is a choice being made every day by people who have already demonstrated at least once that they know how to do otherwise. What this demands of you specifically, it is tempting to end an essay like this, like with a general appeal to hold leaders accountable, in quote, and leave the mechanics unstated. The vagueness is itself a form of the silence this essay is arguing against. Accountability is not a mood. It is a set of specific, repeated actions, and a serious citizen owes the Republic several of them. Acts and acts again in public, budget, contracts, and constituency projects in Nigeria, and in principle, public records, requesting them, sharing them, and asking local officials to explain discrepancies is not rebellion. It is the ordinary maintenance work of a functioning republic. And it becomes powerful precisely when it becomes common rather than exceptional. Document rather than merely complain. A grievance that lives only in conversation dies in conversation. A grievance backed by dates, figures, and sources becomes evidence. The raw material journalists, civil society organizations, and court can actually use. Organize rather than individually endure. Let me state that again. Organize rather than individually endure. The Oyomesi worked because it was a council, not a lone objector. Isolated complaint is easy for power to ignore. Coordinated, sustained pressure from associations, unions, professional bodies, and community groups is considerably harder to outlast. Vote as though it is a job interview, not a coronation. A ballot cast out of ethnicity, ethnic loyalty, religious sentiment, or resigned habit is a ballot that has already forgiven every future failure in advance. Interview the candidate on record, on promises, on delivery, and treat the vote as conditional, not devotional. Refuse the language of deification. Every time a title is inflated into worship, every His Excellency, in quote, spoken with the reverence due a deity rather than a salaried public servant, the psychological distance between the leader and accountability widens by every inch. Language shapes posture. A public that speaks of its officials as servants will eventually start treating them as servants. A public that speaks of them as gods has already written the excuse for their impunity. a culture worth reclaiming. None of this is a call to import a foreign model of protest or borrow someone else's definition of citizenship. It is closer to the opposite, a call to return to what was actually indigenous, because colonial and military rule flattened it. Councils that checked kings, elders who could withdraw legitimacy, communities that understood power as a trust that could be revoked, not a birthright that could not be questioned. What is being asked of Nigerians today is not a new culture. It is the old one recovered. There's a version of this country in which a leader who fails to deliver electricity, security, or basic justice is met not with resignation, but with the same unambiguous pressure the Oyomesi once brought to bear on an Alaafin who had lost the confidence of his people. That version of Nigeria is not a fantasy, it is a memory. The work in front of this generation is to make it a practice again. And here is the closing word. Silence has never protected a single Nigerian from a bad government. It has only ever protected the government from the Nigeria it was failing. If a leader becomes a tyrant, examine first what the people around him were willing to tolerate, explain away, or simply not ask about. If a leader becomes accountable and effective, examine what pressure made that outcome the safer, easier choice for him. Man was not built to watch oppression in silence. Every tradition this country actually descends from proves it. The only thing standing between the Nigeria that exists and the Nigeria that is possible is the question a citizen is still too afraid, too tired, or too convinced of his futility to ask out loud. Ask it anyway. That is the article. And the unfortunate thing here is I could not even see the writer of this article, but it is very solid and powerful. And well, we have the summarized version that I think we can.
It doesn't give us. Yeah. It doesn't give us the name of the writer, because a very detailed article that we need to give credence to whoever wrote this. Did you check there whether the writer's name is on top?
It is not on top, unfortunately. But we indeed salute the writer of this great article. It's a very solid article. The silence that built our God, and that is the foundation of our
current pragmatic state here.
Yes, absolutely.
So am I doing the breakdown, or is it Abdullahi? We
Yeah,
both do it. It looks like a long one.
Yes.
Let's do the mind map.
It looks like okay.
Let's do the mind map. The silence that builds our God.
Yes, you can go on.
Yeah, I'm gonna start. Okay. So for my
Okay,
people,
I'm sorry for the. No worries,
Yeah,
just
so-
continue. Sorry.
Yeah, let me continue. Yeah, the silence that built our God. Let me say, we go talk am for pidgin well, so that our people go they understand us small. We know they hear when they speak Igbo versus English, man. Let me say, go down a little bit. The silence that built
The
our
challenge here, I'm still finding it difficult to navigate this thing, and I'm
God. Oh,
trying
it's your
to.
2 hands. You gotta use your 2 hands.
I'm using my 2 hands, but
Okay.
1 minute, please. Okay, let me just refresh it. I'm using my 2 hands. It is that scrolling down that seems to be
The problem. Okay.
like a challenge, yes, but would get over it.
how we built ourselves gods in our community and worship our leaders as God. The silence that build our God instead of the real God. How we turn human beings to God. This is what this article is breaking down for us. We bring you these types of articles so we can begin to see yourselves in these articles and how you, me, or everyone else is contributing to the decadence that we call Nigeria today, and what we do, how we can stop doing what we do today and start doing something different tomorrow.
Yes, I think I have the first. Yes.
Lie. I got you. So the lie of a quiet obedience is telling us basically say that it is a lie that says that our culture say we must always obey, just obey people with the authority. It is not an African culture, but a conditioning that was imposed on African culture. Conditioning meaning that the way we were bred or trained, the way we were structured, we were engineered, to believe that when we are quiet, it's an African culture. This all started from which that it is not an African culture to not to question leaders, that if we question our leaders, we they disrespect them. This one no be disrespect. And the fact that there is patience within our culture, it has now become a thing of exploitation, whereby our patience is now being exploited as a people to infringe terrible things upon us. Oh, my pitching is very bad. The mechanics of silence. So back in the days, we have governors' power grows with less scrutiny. Those who govern us, their power will grow if you don't question or challenge them on what they are doing. The president gains impunity from the silent public. So when they start making crazy laws and nobody says anything or do anything, it starts getting worse. Then we start conferring upon them as if they are God, divinity conferred, because we refuse to ask them tough questions or hard questions. Now, our leaders now start to act as if them be God, whereby they don't want answer to nobody, and you now have a God as your president in terms of a milocon, whereby he never talked to the people in terms of any issue he was going to do. He will only delegate. Even now that he's in power, he doesn't even come to the people. He doesn't address them. Unlike in other developed world where their leader could come almost every week, come give them press conference. Your own leader doesn't even feel the need to explain or address you on anything because he acts like a god. He's not answerable to you. And the people choose between these. The people, hold on. You have to keep the stage stable, like you're moving it. I can't see. Yeah, you keep moving it. I can't see. Okay, you got to keep it stable like that. Hold on. Okay, stop moving the mouse. Just leave it like that. Yeah, the people choose between God or a leader that comes to serve them. So when you put someone in leadership or you appoint them as your leader, you don't treat them like a god. You treat them like somebody who is working for you, basically. So the myth of the silent African, the myth of the silent African, that is a myth. A myth means that it is not true. It's not real that Africans are silent generally. Generally, there's a claim that our tradition is quiet, that our ancestors were quiet. This is false. This is not true. They used to be in control and they used to be very vocal in control of the future direction which they go. Now, the African governance splits into two forms. The Yoruba governance, we will talk about the Yoruba governance and we'll talk about the Igbo governance. A good example of a good Yoruba governance will be the Alaafin of Oyo's method, where power is not made to stay without it being checked. They have a group of Oyomesis. Those are the councils that challenge the royal decision, even if when we have royalty and kings back in our tradition. So, and then the Ogboni society checked the chieftaincy of the Oyomesis, and then power checks upon power. So therefore, there is no silence, and it's filtered down from the people. Power was checked and questioned and withdrawn, at least within the Yoruba governance system, according to our culture. Then if we look at the Igbo, if we then go look at the Igbo one too, you go see say that in the Igbo society, power was not centralized. There's no centralized monarchy in most of their community. Decisions are made by councils of elders and age grades, and it is completely participatory. Participatory means say everybody they involved, everybody they participate well for inside. And but problem can't hit us for Africa when these colonial people come and then colonial and military impact. Government can't hit us big time for Africa during this colonial time and military era. During the colonial era, when the queen come speak, say they can't come our land, can't take over our land. Colonial administration started breaking our tradition. They tried to put checks on our tradition that moves from the people to the king, or from the people to the council, from top to bottom, from bottom to the top. The colonial administrators who were serving the queen started changing those, and then they started criminalizing people's opinion. They replaced councils with unaccountable officers, warrant officers that they appointed. And then, rather than this to stop when they claimed they gave us independence in 1960, the military rule also now criminalized dissent, although our civilian government did not do any better also. During the first regime, they never catered to hearing the voice of the people because they've been used to this colonial method whereby order is from the top direct, or order now order, it's obey, where they got the coin, where the colonialists coined the phrase apes obey. All you have to do is just obey. Apes obey. We used to, when we were growing up, we used to think that it was a local language word. Apes obey. Apparently, it was when we grew up that we found out that it actually meant apes obey. So the colonialists regarded us as apes, and then they only instituted us to obey orders, to carry instructions out, and that's how the word apes obey came into being. So if you ever hear the word apes obey, it's not that putting strength. It doesn't mean putting strength. It actually meant apes obey. Obey your colonial masters, obey the king or obey the ruler. Our culture was not like that. It was the colonialists that came to truncate the culture, the African culture, and created this malignant problem for us. Public trust now collapsed. 83%, little or no trust in the government as the effect of this top-down system that we have adopted from the colonialists and from the military. And then there is no confidence in the National Assembly and the judiciary currently. That is what the current data they show about our state of existence. The index number shows that, this might try to get me blind by moving the slide too often. I'm laughing because I can't see. I'm sorry, our audience. He's trying his best, but my eyes are suffering.
Don't worry about that.
Like you're trying to get me blind. I know they use glasses already. Corruption and perception index, according to data, shows that Nigeria as a country is 26 out of 100, and Nigeria is ranked 142nd out of 182 nations in terms of the corruption perception index. We are definitely way below the global average. We are not doing well because of this method of not inputting the people's view into our governance. Now, this has affected us in great deal in a lot of ways. It don't affect us, but our trust in political institutions have been weakened all across Africa, not just only with us. And the parliament, the parties, the local council, trusted list because of there's minimal import. It's always the top down or gas obey, and the apes must obey. Apes obey, that's so tragic that the colonialists or the whites regarded us as apes, and even have a phrase that we imbibed and then passed it on to our children as apes obey. Now, unfair government treatment started resulting from all this method of discarding the populace. Majority feel that their group were treated unfairly. Then we started witnessing poor services in our governance. The cost of silence data is showing us all these things, that we start to see prop service 13% electricity supply does not even work most of the time. We have 13% electricity supply, and it's not all the time that it works. Young Nigerians have basically decided to leave their own father's land or their mother's land to go to another man's country just to survive. These are the impact of moving away from our culture of bottom up, whereby leadership is held accountable to adopting this colonial system of top down, which is the king or the queen of England is saying, and you, the African, you must obey because you're nothing but an ape. You're nothing but an ape to them. And this has continued to affect us up to today. And then we brainwashed to think that we cannot ask questions. So what we are saying now is that, proof that the noise works. Now, if we look at our current history, we will see that if you make a lot of noise and demand, you can see that it works. During the NSAS mobilization is a case study. Even though the people didn't get what they want fully, but at least there was some reaction from those in governance, even though most of those reactions were false. Now, the citizens are compelled institutional response. That's the only way you can, if you make noise, it's the only way you can get institutions to respond to your demands of no water, no electricity, no justice. If you keep quiet about it, if someone is giving a bad judgment in the Supreme Court and none of you is calling out the name of the judge or calling their names out, this will continue. If they don't have water, nobody is calling out the Minister of Works. If there's no road, nobody is calling out the governor. Nobody is calling out the chairman. Your problem will just continue and multiply. Now, the false assumption of powerlessness is false. In our head, we always believe we are powerless. We act like little children, like we don't have power or authority or anything to change our own destiny. Yes, we do. We just have not been exercising it. And so what this demand is that the following things we have to start doing going forward. We have to start asking questions. We have to start documenting grievances. We have to start organizing, and we have to start voting wisely. To ask questions, we must publicly ask questions, and you repeatedly ask questions. Not this type of stupid questions people like Shehu Kibaloye are asking. No, those ones are not journalists. Those ones are political hack jobs. Not those kind of questions. You ask questions relevant to your survivor. So why is there a fake agency in the government? Why is money disappearing? Why is 9 trillion still being paid for oil subsidy that you said you removed? Why is the money not in education? You have to ask questions repeatedly for you to have a good country, not serve as a tribal bigot, asking tribal questions that will incite tribal hatred, and you call yourself a journalist or a Nigerian or a person, or you go on media to talk. You have to request for budget, for contracts, for constituent, what number was awarded, what was spent, by who, to who, when was the payment made. These are your rights to ask, not for you to just be quiet. And apart from that, you have to start documenting. You document grievances. You back it up with dates, with figures, with the source. If somebody said they gave you so, they gave this local government so money today, you document it, you back it up, and you make it become evidence. You submit it to journalists, or you submit it to civil society organization, or to the court. This is how a society works. not just by coming on the internet and giving your rants and speaking Oyibo past Englishman, just rant away. The government is bad. The government is, but what are you doing to help save the situation? You have to organize. You have to put coordinated pressure from groups. That's why you have the Nigerian Student Union, Nigerian Student Association. You have the Nigerian Labour Congress, Nigerian Bar Association, Nigerian Journalists Union. What are all these people doing? Nigerian Judges Association, Christian Association of Nigeria, Muslim Association of Nigeria, if there is one. What are all these people doing? But everybody wants to point and say, oh, Tinubu this, Tinubu that. What are you? Are you like the police commissioner who goes to a APC campaign event? You know, this should not be happening. Such a man should be called out. His position should be taken away from him. He should be dismissed, because he should not be seen at the, what do they call them? The village boys or the country boys, city boys. You know, a police commissioner. That means your loyalty is not even to the law. Your loyalty is to a party. Such a man should be dismissed immediately, and there's nobody, no journalist or Kiboloye should be calling for this dismissal. But no, it's going to be asking stupid questions about football. That is what we are dealing with now, bringing 1966 to 2026. These are the type of stupidity of our educated people, you know, not doing the right thing. Those even discussing on X and Twitter, these are the wrong discussion. If the whole discussion was on the dismissal of that police commissioner that showed up at that party rally, the whole world would hear and something will be done about it. Just like Sowore shouted that the inspector general who got the inspector general's office should not have gotten that office. Eventually, they have no choice but to remove him. Sowore keep going to God, keep shouting. This is how a citizen behaves. Not all these other ones that just go, yeah, my brother, yes, your excellency, my brother, you know, bowing down to power. You question power. No, not that all the rubbish nonsense the likes of VDM too are doing. You question power, you bring authority to the fore and hold them accountable. Now, it comes now to the issue of you organize, coordinated pressure, you isolate complaints. Isolated complaints are ignored. Make sure they are not ignored. Then you vote wisely so that you can move forward to have a better nation. If you all don't do all these things, you're never going to have a great nation to give on to your children. You all will be running away from your country and going to go do, and you have a master's or doctorate degree, be cleaning plates in a white man's land and washing dishes as if you are inferior human being. That's because you didn't do what God gave you to do. God-given duty to do, not to be silent. And don't let them bamboozle you. Say it's our culture to be respectful, to be patient, to be silent. That's nonsense, because the white man came and tried to change our culture, and we're trying to get you back to the originality of your blackness, of your Africanness, which means you question the king, you question the council of elders. That is how our community progressed in the past, until the coming of the colonialists, and where they messed everything up, took our brothers and sisters as slaves, and they are still taking our resources away to their country because we remain stupid, silent, and quiet. These are the type of things we bring to you on the Movement Radio, because we are trying to change your mind, change what you've been taught, reorientate you to better life. So when we find things that are out there that are positive like this, we will bring it to you. Now, it is now left for you to take it or imbibe it. You can pretend to be sleeping all you want, but we will tell you the sun is rising. You need to get up. Thank you. I think that's the last one on that.
That is the last part of the. But I think Mr. Salisu will have a comment. I think you have done justice. You have done brilliantly, and just Mr. Abdullahi, please proceed.
Mr. Alaba did a wonderful job on this article, because the article is actually indeed all-encompassing. And just to say something very obvious, the article belongs to Movement Radio. Actually.
Wow, really?
Yes, it belongs to Movement Radio. Because
that's very good. We didn't even know. that we are
because
spreading
I
our
wrote
own clothes.
yes, because I wrote the article.
Oh,
Wow,
thank you very
wow.
much, Abdullahi. That was
That was
very
wonderful.
good.
So
That
and
was wonderful.
that
Yeah,
I
don't forget
decided not to
also the
write my name
article.
because the article is for the movement radio. It's not for me.
Okay. That's very good. That's
Okay.
very true. Thank you
And the
so much.
article comes from one part of something that I just from the last edition of the show because I started writing the article long ago, but the last on Tuesdays, that the articles we read on Tuesday just makes me to okay, this thing needs to be out because I within this year we visited some politicians and some of their statements is what makes me to give the article the title like the silence that help us to create those gods, that's to build those gods
Mm,
because
mm,
they are not just humans, they are not just leaders. What they behave and how they behave and what they believe, they are just like demigods.
mm,
Because there was one of them that we visited, and they look if you look at the channel you have to pass through to get to that person, you
mm,
will be you will like feel like, is this human being like me? And then their statement and their utterances are like, they will even ask, are you not even afraid? So why should I be afraid of you, fellow human like me?
mm,
And all they feel that way is because of what we give them that opportunity to be there.
mm,
Because as we give them the opportunity to be there, and they act like gods, and we are the one who create them. Because anytime they did something, nobody questioned them. Just like God, that okay, God created the heaven and the earth. The God created me. God created me a black man, so I have no any other option but to accept who I am. So that's the same thing we do with our with our rulers, because they will do things and everybody will keep quiet and accept it. Look at how many billions budgeted for what, building mosques and churches in Nigeria. Is that what we need at this moment from the federal government cover? If you look at all, that's why sometimes it will is disheartening for you to go through the headlines of the news. Because why wouldn't the people be asking questions? Why didn't the people organize themselves, take collective actions? These are people you elect. These are people like you. Maybe one of them is your neighbor before he jump and escape and be where he is. And you make him to be like that. And he is behaving as if nobody will question what he is doing. Your councillor is at the top. Your chairman is somewhere else. Your House of Reps member don't even care. Your governor is there. He's in charge of the state. Is what he wants. That's what will happen in the state. Once a family is in the helm of affairs in this country, then that family becomes something else. Nobody will question their decision. They will behave the way they want to behave. And all as the result of our silence. All as a result of our silence. So that's why when Mr. Yaba it's just like everything is coming out. Because these are things that we allow it to happen. If we continue to allow it, then instead of us being citizens, we are slaves. Because it's just like between the master and the servants. They will just command from the top and then we answer. And you can't say, okay, why should I do this? You say, okay, we should buy fuel at so price. Why should we buy it? Give us a reason for it. You said, okay, the only means if you want to go to university, if you don't have the financial, the deep pocket, okay, the rest thing is go and access student loan. Why should I access student loan that is very difficult to access? How much knowledge, how much information have you given to the people regarding this? Why should you say, okay, you are using 1 point something trillion for road construction. Why are you using that amount of money? Does that road worth that amount of money? We should be building industrial routes that will link businesses, villages that will facilitate security. Not building street roads that will what lead to this person's office, lead to that person's house, lead to that within just the metropolis and within their own environment. All these things are things that we need to question. People are sitting in an office that they do not deserve to be in that office, but nobody is saying anything. In the same environment, okay, we said, okay, fake ministries existing. Since the issue of these fake ministry agencies from government came out, who resigned, who lose his seat? Nobody. Everybody is sitting down comfortably as if nothing happens. So they are demigods. Nobody will question what they are doing. So it's quite unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate.
They want to be worshipped. Look at the young girl that died in the Mai's house, and still nobody is raising issues to have him arrested.
Nope.
You know,
nobody is asking, and even the minister, David, look at what happens to one journalist just because he's asking questions about the projects they are awarded. So, the slightest provocation, if you decide to question them, then that's where you will be. They will start picking you up. So they are gods. They decide when you live and when you die.
So what should we be, if people want to join in or talk to us about it, what should be the question we put to them? Our leaders gods, or I don't know. What do you think, Abdullahi? Can we frame a question for people who want to contribute if they join in the talk? Don't forget to announce to them where they can join.
No, they are already. Our Twitter page is already live and direct, and we have 3 listeners right now on the audio.
Okay.
On the audio, and they are hearing. They have been listening all the way since the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
So
good,
yes,
good. So
let's just.
What are we framing as a question for them to discuss on? Do we consider our leaders as God? I think we do. The likes of calling people excellency, your excellency, sa, you know, we do. You know, I've been telling you about this sa thing. It's not too much in our culture. You know, we have turned respect into something else. We have now turned respect into cringing, into slavery, into, you know. So what should we frame? In case anybody want to grab the speaker, they can join, they can comment. This is a radio station that allows you to talk back. This is not just a Soro Magbesi. We basically here. We take responses. So join us, talk, respond, pick up the mic and ask questions. But this is a very good article, and Abdullah, you did a good job. Don't forget, put Abdullah's name on that.
Hey, please request for the mic. Hey requested for the mic, but he dropped, but he's back now. Hey, please pick the mic.
Was Hey the one we gave? We gave VIP pass to the studio.
No, that was the African Wahala.
Oh, okay, yeah. If Hey to prove himself, he might get that. Let them talk.
Is about to come up. Is requesting already.
Yeah. Okay, let the people talk. We'll be quiet for a
yes,
while.
Hey. Please proceed with your contribution. Oh. Yes.
You know, the very first time about the investigation was from Comrade Alabama. You know, that was we can't hear him clearly. Or can you adjust the microphone?
Yeah, please proceed. If you can speak up a little bit. He's driving actually, so yes, I can sense that. But proceed.
So that was the very first time I heard yesterday when Comrade Alaba from the movement to explain it as it's not for me. Obey, you obey. When it is like that is when I was speaking it. So then, you know, it was okay until to our space that day broke it down. So we all aim for and we all need to say this aim for me. It's a lot of thoughts that was read out. And I love that article. I hope I can get that article. That article you read out Liberation Chat. If I can get that article, I would appreciate it. It's quite an amazing. And also the voice that spoke up that broke down the taxation, the fuel, Nigeria, the cost of fuel in Nigeria is the cheapest. It's one of the cheapest in the world. I love that analysis. If I can get, let me speak to myself. If I can get that audio, otherwise it's a recorded space, so I can always play back. But I think there's a whole lot to learn from that. There's a whole lot we can learn from that. When it goes on repeat, we continue to repeat it, so I will not think. It's quite an analysis. So two things I would like to get that article that I read out, like it's on chat, if I would appreciate if I can get an article. And I also want to appreciate Ferrari of the movement for breaking down a lot of our history as motherland people, especially Nigeria. A lot of the stuff that was before. But let's not that I can say that the whole idea is, we are wired in our culture to always obey. Once they are older than us, because when they call elders this day, they just manufacture the meaning by themselves. We know elders are positive beings in our society. They are necessity in our society. What kind of old guards we have today? These ones are not elders. You cannot tell me that this set of old guards, like the likes of Akpabio, Tinubu himself, that these ones are elders in our society. They are playing the role of elders because they do not think we count in this society. They don't care about us. They don't feel our. They have nothing to do with us. They say it to our faces. We don't make any sense to them. For example, during the EndSARS, when they asked Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the guy who became president today, they said, what would you say about what happened in the Lekki province? He said, why? Elder for crying out loud. Is that someone you want me to look up to for crying out loud? Is that someone you want me to respect for crying out loud? Respect is reciprocal. You earn it, you don't beg for it. You earn it, you don't pay for it. You earn it, you don't force it. Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his cause, they want to force us to respect them. No, they must earn the respect. They must play the role of elders. Otherwise, they are just old guards. They are not elders. And these old guards have destroyed the existence of our country. So we do not reverence them. We do not regard them. We hold them nothing other than they should pack their bags and baggages and leave our country. And they should go to wherever they want to belong to. Something that is said over. It is the African culture to just respect elders. Elders, if the elders, when they misbehave, for Yoruba, they will call you Andaya. But they don't want us to know that there is a word like Andaya in you. from us. You want me to take the for you. That's the way all these kings, in Yoruba land, for instance, they want everybody to come and bow down for them. King of new land. The non-convict. So if I want me to now see him and respect him, if I don't have respect him, I'm not calling me. No. I don't buy that shit and I'm not going to fall for that shit. We will respect those that deserve respect. We will respect those that are taking the prize for us. Not criminals that found their way to power and you now want me to respect. So this kind of respect is a special thing all Nigerians should listen to learn from. So, so that we can take ourselves. And people without their history is like a tree without a root. A tree without a root, we all know. In no time. Is that how we want to end? Look at the way our people are all over. We are disoriented because we do not put our left from right. We are not sure where we belong in the society. We talk bad, some to self-abuse, some to talk. They are not in the society to guide us. We are supposed to have God to look up to so that we will not get things to put our eyes. But when in this country, why don't they have to look up to? We want to call themselves elite. Because these ones are not elite. Elite are elder. These elite are supposed to be creative. They are supposed to aspire. They are supposed to inspire. They are supposed to add value to our society. We are supposed to bring value from that institution and apply those values into the society. We take all these values, filter these values, look into what is fit, work for the society at a particular point in time. But in this case, there are no other functioning people. We have people that have sold us out, we have people that do not care about us, we have people that would rather take a huge. We don't colonize us. Tell the rest of us in quick labor. That is what is going on. How long can we have this? How long can this continue? We must say enough is enough. Bring that economy down and take over power that belongs to us. We are not saying here. When we talk about democracy means power to the people. Nothing more, nothing less. If democracy means power to the people, it's to come and ask the Nigerian people, especially the so-called Olodo uprising. Does power belong to you? Do you have power? If you have power, can you decide who is going to be the president of our country? You realize that they are confused. They don't even know what power belongs to them. From the conscious side, we claim to be, because we don't have any other person we want to look up to be better. So we claim to be. We, the young Nigerians, we have decided to put our legs into the shoes of elders and play the role to guide our people and not lead them astray anymore. That enough is enough. Anyone that is teaching you anything or any iota of unity is an enemy of Africa, an enemy of Nigeria in particular. If you think for once that Nigeria cannot be taken away from you, you are joking. You are joking. I don't like that I'm sharp because I'm driving. I'm so sorry. You are joking. You think you want to be preaching tribalism and you want to visit other countries, you don't want them to give you racism. You think you are comfortable in your zone to think, oh, you are this. See, if those that created your country, if they want to take it from you, it does not take them anything. And there is no United Nations or African Union anywhere that will fight for you for it. But I don't think I want to do more because of the way, because I'm actually on the road.
Maybe in the course of the conversation, I can still come on board by the time I get home and still say one or two if the space has not ended. Thank you, Alaba Ferrari, Comrade Alaba, our senior brother, our elder, for hosting this space. Thank you, the Movement Radio. We are grateful to the I personally am grateful to the organization for bringing this space to us. I love what I've heard today, and I've learned again from it. Thank you very much. I yield the mic for now.
Yeah, thank you very much, OIA. Yeah, you did a great job. Thank you very much for that analysis. It's important to let our people know what our original culture is, not this rubbish we've been imbibing since the colonialists came. Not this nonsense we are imbibing. Our culture does not say we should not question authorities. Our culture say that's why we have words like Agbaya. When an elder does not show himself to be an elder, we call them Agbaya. Adiyefufo More Lagba. They might have all the white beard, all the white hair, but if they've not shown themselves to be elders, and elders are the one that direct the community. We don't have elders in Nigeria. We are fatherless children, according to Dele Ogun. Fatherless children. We don't have elders. If we have elders, we won't be in this state, and our elders will speak the truth. You want to call someone like Gowon an elder who cannot even though he's close to go into the world beyond, he cannot even tell the truth on why he rejected the Aburi Accord. Cannot even tell the truth. Or you want to call the likes of Babangida elders, the likes of Tinubu elders, or the likes of all these people that have eaten that country dry. Don't forget, they all were educated for free in this country. All those soldiers, you look, free education, free up to PhD level, all of them. Free food, free housing. Look at what they are doing to children behind them now, and they call them elders. Those in their 80s and 90s, can you even call those ones elders? Those are not elders. Those are terrorists. Terrorists wearing agbada as elders. Those are not elders. So this article by Abdullahi Sanusi is really very, very good. Salisu Abdullahi, thank you very much for this article. We will bring us back to what our true culture is. What is the African in us? What is the black man in us? Not what the colonialists. You see, we imbibe the beast. Colonialism, slavery, segregation, and all these attributes of satanic verses are the beast symptoms. And we as Africans, we have wrongfully imbibed this negativity, and we become worse than the beast itself. That is the house Negro mentality to our own people. We punish our own people far much more than the slave master is punishing us. So we are not all black folks are king folks. They might be black like you, but they have the blood of the devil in them. They have the blood of the white colonialists in them. In 1960, colonialism did not leave Africa. It only changed color. And a lot of our people need to know this and remember this. So listen, thank you for this great article. Nigeria as a struggle has been mischaracterized as a pro-democracy one. It is not. There's a liberation struggle awaiting the conscience. Nigeria has been captured by the most rapacious class of evil men. Rapacious class of evil men. That's what we are trying to do to awaken the conscience of the people. You cannot be pretending to be asleep. I was listening to some X pages this morning. They were talking about the media, sharing the media. You don't have a media. Let him hear. Tag him. He is not a journalist. He's a hashman for a political party. Journalists defend the people. There's so much to say, so little time. We have to wake up from our sleep, from our slumber. We have to be conscious of what is the real pragmatic reality of our lives. This attitude that we have to be respectful, patient, we cannot question, that came from the colonial masters because they want us to
You
obey the
cannot talk
queen.
to the elders like that. You cannot insult your
Yeah, you
leaders.
cannot talk to the elder. No, because they want us to obey the queen. And what does the queen want? Or the king of England? He wants to steal all our resources. And they made it so bad, they even called it to our face, apes obey. And we too come carry them. Apes obey. Apes obey. Apes obey. We won't carry load. Apes obey. Hey, apes obey. Hey. It's so sad. We need to know our history. Liberate our children from this slave mentality that we have imbibed. You know. So the question, thank you very much. Any other person asking for the microphone? Is the audio better now? Because the audio was echoing a lot earlier.
It's better
Particularly
now.
from when, yeah, particularly from the voice on Twitter. So that's why I'm sharing that Twitter page so that we could hear people. Any other person grabbing the microphone in Bukun? So this is
Maybe.
terrible. And then yeah, and then we have one thing to share on our picture page. Well, this man wearing a very nice t-shirt. I think he's a very fashionable man. I love that t-shirt. Can you all see that? Let
Yes.
me read what the t-shirt says. It says there are two types of Tinubu supporters. One, treasury looters, and two, idiots. They want you to check your bank account to see which one you are. Is everybody listening? Go check your bank account. You know, the t-shirt has said it all. No further comment. Adebanji Adeyonju said. There is no third one. The fool that wears this. The response is all in the name. You know, there's only treasury looters and idiots.
Definitely, because it's either you are benefiting or you are the fool.
Yeah, it's either you're stealing from the common treasury or you're a complete idiot that someone is stealing your common hegemony and you're there cheering them on. Who does that? That is sickening.
Definitely.
You know? That is so sickening. Who else has a microphone there? I see a dopey kid.
I
Does he
think
have a microphone
Ibokun,
before we move on?
I think Ibokun is not here. So he's
Ibokun
just
is
maybe
not
he
here.
stepped out because
For a moment,
he's not
yeah,
on
and
stage.
OIA also commented on that video about how much we are actually paying for the subsidy for the
So
petroleum.
Ibokun is
And
here.
he
Do we
did
have
it
any other
fast.
person?
So, do we have questions for anybody that wants to contribute?
No, we don't have any questions for now from X, except the contribution of OIA, and we still await the contribution of other members of the X audio broadcast. So, and of course, we still anticipate the feedback of all our listeners and viewers from all other platforms. Please drop your comments. In any of the platforms, we will see the comments in the studio here and we'll put it on the screen. So feel free to contribute. You don't have to pick up the mic like the X broadcast avenue. You can also drop your comments and we'll see. Any comments will be appreciated. So yes, because we want this to be as interactive as possible. So yeah. Can we proceed?
The question is, what's the question we're giving them to talk about? Do you have based on that article?
The topic is on the topic is well written on the space, and our topic, I would recommend this particular question with regards to this topic, that how long do we want to keep silent? All right, the silence that have produced these gods, how long are we going to keep up with it? Because to some people, it seems to be like a strategy that the more they keep quiet, the more they are giving an extraterrestrial entity a chance to touch the hearts of their wicked rulers. And of course, the question is, can we really say that strategy has worked? Because if we are saying we have to obey the authorities as a matter of extraterrestrial command, that we have to subject ourselves to this ruiners as we have known them to be, all right, how long do we want to keep up with that kind of strategy? All right. And is it effective? Has it worked over time? The whole strategy of keeping quiet and keeping silence, in your own view, dear listeners and audience, has it worked for us? Because if people still perceive or have this perception that it is working, that is why they would continue to remain and keep quiet. But if they have established the fact that it has not worked, despite years of keeping quiet and keeping silent, if they know that it has not worked, then they will begin to look at other strategies that they will have to explore to fix their society. So I think that question is out there, and our viewers and our listeners, everything that is being discussed here, they are indeed being carried along all the way, and it is replayable. So let's keep up the conversation. Let's move on to the next point in our bulletin.
So I think the next thing we want to do is to share with our viewers how a normal society works. So we will show you a video now of first let's show you a video of a girl talking about blackness and how proud blackness is. We should be about blackness. Then we will talk about a man that was killed in South Africa a while back by Stephen Biko. I think the two goes along. So let's do that. I'll share with you this video. It's a poem or something about blackness. And before we do that, also let us share this message. Can somebody read this message for me, please, before we go on? Can one of you guys read?
Yeah, Mr. Salisu.
Can you see it? Kind of hard to see.
I can see.
It's kind of hard to see. You're using. Let me read it. The greatest problem with fools is their unshakable conviction that they are wise, and that is so true. The greatest problem with fools is their unshakable conviction that they are wise. So let's go to the video now, and then we'll share something about Stephen Bantu Biko. Hold on 1 more minute and we'll be there. Okay, where's this article? Thank you all for joining us. If you're on X, we thank you for joining us. If you're on Twitter, we thank you for joining us. If you're on TikTok, we also thank you for joining us. If you're on Instagram, we thank you for joining us. So let us start now.
Freeze. You're black. Now tell me, what's the right reaction? Hands up to threatening, hands down to passive. Speak up to angry. Freeze. You're black. Now tell me, what's the right reaction? Hands up to threatening, hands down to passive.
To speak up, too angry, stay quiet, too complicit. Run, you're guilty, stand still, you're suspicious. Smile, you're performing, frown, you're intimidating. Tell me, what is the proper choreography for surviving inside of a skin that everybody keeps mistaking for a weapon? Tell me, because I spent my whole life auditioning for innocence in front of a jury that already mesmerized my verdict. Tell me, ain't that a hell of a thing? To be born and immediately become evidence. To inherit a body and spend your life trying to convince the world it belongs to you. My mother taught me how to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, before she taught me how to say, I love you. Not because she loved authority, but because Black mothers know sometimes respect sounds a lot like survival. Sometimes survival sounds a lot like surrender. Sometimes surrender is exactly what we call it when a Black person is too exhausted to explain their humanity again and again and again and again. I'm tired I'm tired of being told I'm too black for some rooms and not black enough for others. I'm tired of being othered in every room that I walk in. I'm too educated. I'm too loud. I'm too successful. I'm too articulate, as if intelligence is somehow trespassing, as if excellence requires a permission slip, as if every achievement must first survive an interrogation. Now tell me, how do you win in a game where the goalposts got legs? Being black is exhausting, where history changes clothes but keeps the same intentions, where they love our rhythm but they fear our heartbeat, where they love our culture but they criminalize our condition, where they love our music but silence our mourning. They love our flavor but they choke on our truth. See, they love us best when we entertainment, when we dance, when we score, when we sing, when we make pain look profitable. But let a black person become a mirror, and suddenly everybody got a problem with their reflection, because reflection is dangerous. Reflection asks questions. Reflection remembers names. Reflection does not let history slip away wearing a new suit. Reflection is staring back at you, and I know what some will say. Well, things are better now than they were back then, and maybe. But better and healed are not the same thing. A scar is proof that something survived. It's not proof that it didn't hurt. And Lord, it hurt. It hurt so bad watching fathers become statistics. It hurt watching mothers become miracles. It hurt watching children inherit fear before they inherit property. It hurts realizing that freedom can be legal and still feel expensive. But here's the testimony. We're still here. Still turning struggle into symphonies, still turning grief into gospel, still turning closed fists into open businesses, still turning no into neighborhoods, still turning survival into something beautiful enough to call legacy. You see, blackness is not tragedy. Blackness is alchemy. We take what was meant to break us and somehow we still make it beautiful. We take chains and somehow still make it rhythm. We take pain and somehow we still make it poetry. We take rejection and somehow we make it a revolution. We take what we may feel like surviving death, feel like the best experience on earth. So no, I'm black and I don't have the right reaction. I have every reaction. I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm mad. I have the rage of my ancestors, the prayers of my grandmothers, the resilience of my brother, the dreams they tried to redline, the joy they couldn't legislate, the brilliance they couldn't erase it. If that makes me too much, then maybe the problem was never my existence. Maybe the problem is a world that keeps asking black people to shrink so other people can stay comfortable. So no, I'm not gonna shrink. No, I'm not gonna soften. No, I'm not gonna apologize for taking up the exact amount of space God carved out for me. So freeze, you're black. Now tell me, what's the right reaction? Maybe there isn't one. I can't ask Nolan. I can't ask Cyrus. I can't ask Carmelo. They didn't have the right reaction. So maybe that's the lesson. Maybe the freest thing a black person can do in America is stop asking for the right reaction. There is none. You just have to be human. Sunset
One
moment.
more time.
Freeze. You're black. Now tell me, what's the right reaction? Hands up, too threatening. Hands down, too passive. Speak up, too angry. Stay quiet, too complicit. Run, you're guilty. Stand still, you're suspicious. Smile, you're performing. Frown, you're intimidating. Tell me, what is the proper choreography for surviving inside of a skin that everybody keeps mistaking for a weapon? Tell me, because I spent my whole life auditioning for innocence in front of a jury that already mesmerized my verdict. Tell me, ain't that a hell of a thing? To be born and immediately become evidence. To inherit a body and spend your life trying to convince the world it belongs to you. My mother taught me how to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, before she taught me how to say, I love you. Not because she loved authority, but because black mothers know sometimes respect sounds a lot like survival. Sometimes survival sounds a lot like surrender. Sometimes surrender is exactly what we call it when a black person is too exhausted to explain their humanity again and again and again and again. I'm tired. I'm tired of being told I'm too black for some rooms and not black enough for others. I'm tired of being othered in every room that I walk in. I'm too educated. I'm too loud. I'm too successful. I'm too articulate, as if intelligence is somehow trespassing, as if excellence requires a permission slip, as if every achievement must first survive an interrogation. Now tell me, how do you win in a game where the goalposts got legs. Being black is exhausting, where history changes clothes but keeps the same intentions, where they love our rhythm but they fear our heartbeat, where they love our culture but they criminalize our condition, where they love our music but silence our mourning. They love our flavor but they choke on our truth. See, they love us best when we entertainment, when we dance, when we score, when we sing, when we make pain look profitable. But let a black person become a mirror, and suddenly everybody got a problem with their reflection, because reflection is dangerous. Reflection asks questions. Reflection remembers names. Reflection does not let history slip away wearing a new suit. Reflection is staring back at you, and I know what some will say. Well, things are better now than they were back then, and maybe. But better and healed are not the same thing. A scar is proof that something survived. It's not proof that it didn't hurt. And Lord, it hurt. It hurt so bad watching fathers become statistics. It hurt watching mothers become miracles. It hurt watching children inherit fear before they inherit property. It hurts realizing that freedom can be legal and still feel expensive. But here's the testimony. We're still here. Still turning struggle into symphonies, still turning grief into gospel, still turning closed fists into open businesses, still turning no into neighborhoods, still turning survival into something beautiful enough to call legacy. You see, blackness is not tragedy. Blackness is alchemy. We take what was meant to break us and somehow we still make it beautiful. We take chains and somehow still make it rhythm. We take pain and somehow we still make it poetry. We take rejection and somehow we make it a revolution. We take what we may feel like surviving death, feel like the best experience on earth. So no, I'm black and I don't have the right reaction. I have every reaction. I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm mad. I have the rage of my ancestors, the prayers of my grandmothers, the resilience of my brother, the dreams they tried to redline, the joy they couldn't legislate, the brilliance they couldn't erase. And if that makes me too much, then maybe the problem was never my existence. Maybe the problem is a world that keeps asking black people to shrink so other people can stay comfortable. So no, I'm not gonna shrink. No, I'm not gonna soften. No, I'm not gonna apologize for taking up the exact amount of space God carved out for me. So freeze, you're black. Now tell me, what's the right reaction? Maybe there isn't one. I can't ask Nolan. I can't ask Cyrus. I can't ask Carmelo. They didn't have the right reaction. So maybe that's the lesson. Maybe the freest thing a black person can do in America is stop asking for the right reaction. There is none. You just have to be human. Sunset Monet.
Unmute your mic.
Yes, that was from Canelo Monet, and talking about blackness and how you cannot erase us, and how we shouldn't just be a slogan for suffering and slavery only. And that connects us to our next discussion, which is a conversation about an African hero, somebody who started the Black consciousness, Stephen Bantu Biko. He was a strong member in the fight against the. Oh, my mic is. Okay.
I guess
So,
it is the
well, we're
fact
going to
that
continue with that. Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to continue by telling you a little bit, because the young generation might not know about heroes like this who have contributed greatly about to blackness. And what we are doing is the struggle of blackness. We don't want our people to remain slaves in Nigeria, in Africa, or any part of the world. So we're bringing them informative and educative things about ourselves, because only when you're conscious about yourself enough, that is when you can truly liberate yourself. And the struggle for liberation is not over for the black man. I don't care where you are, wherever you may be, America, Europe, Africa, Nigeria, the struggle is still there. So that's the one. We have his picture right there on the screen. his name was Stephen Bantu Biko, and his weapon was an idea. In the South Africa of the 60s and 70s, apartheid did not change the black body. It went after the black mind, just like in Nigeria today. This poverty, this democracy, false democracy, and whatever it is we're practicing that is a colonial construct has not just chained us into poverty, it has chained our mind. So Biko, in the 60s, 70s, apartheid did not only chain the black body, it went after the black mind. It taught millions of black Africans that they were inferior by nature, that white was the standard of beauty, intelligence, and worth, and their place beneath the boot was simply the order of things, just like those who are our big men today want us to believe that those are the order of things. Biko Stephen understood that this mental conquest was the deepest chain of all, and he set out to break it, which is what we are trying to do here also at the Movement Radio. It breaks this mental chain that the colonialists, the military, and their civilian counterpart in Nigeria has put on our people. To break this mental conquest was the deepest chain of all, and he set out to break it. He founded the Black Consciousness Movement while still a young medical student. His message was simple and revolutionary. Black is not something to apologize for. Black is dignity. Black is pride. Black is capability. And black is beautiful. He gave the movement its most famous line: the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. He was telling his people that before they could be free on the streets, they had to be free in their own heads. And that no government could liberate a people who had been trained to despise themselves. That idea spread like wildfire. It helped inspire the Soweto uprising of 1976, when school children rose against being forced to learn in the language of their oppressor, and the police answered children with bullets. The apartheid state understood exactly how dangerous a free mind was. They banned him, restricting where he could go, who he could meet, and forbidding his words from being quoted. But an idea does not obey a banning order. So they went further. On August 18, 1977, Stephen Biko was seized at a police roadblock. For over 20 days, he was held under the Terrorism Act, and in the hands of security police, he was chained, stripped naked, and brutally beaten until his skull was fractured and his brain began to bleed. Then, unconscious and dying, this man was thrown into the back of a police vehicle and driven more than 1,000 kilometers to Pretoria. Naked on the floor with no medical care, he died on 12 September 1977. On the concrete floor of a prison cell, he was 30 years old. He was the 46th political detainee to die in the custody of the apartheid police. The government response was to lie. The Minister of Justice said Biko's death left him cold, and officials claimed he had died from hunger strike. Then a white journalist named Donald Wood obtained photographs of Biko's battered body and showed the world the truth before fleeing the country for his own life. The lie collapsed. Biko's funeral drew tens of thousands, and his death turned him into an international symbol of the evil of the apartheid, hardening the global campaign of sanction that helped bring the regime down. We here in the Movement Radio believe that what Nigeria is going through now is worse than apartheid. So if Biko went through this for apartheid, you can imagine what we have to do to free ourselves. most importantly, the freeing of the minds of our people. The men who beat never punished. Cleared them of all responsibility. When 5 of them finally confessed years later to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, they were denied amnesty, and still they walk free. Only now in 2025, 48 years after his murder, as South Africa reopened the inquest into his death, an admission that injustice was never done. They killed the man in a cell and thought that the idea would die with him. It did not. Every Black child thought to be proud of their own reflection is carrying the things Stephen Biko died to give them. You can beat a man's body to death, but you cannot do that to an idea whose time has come. Biko's example should serve an example to young Nigerians. Instead of following these old politicians that have foolishly destroyed their country, you need to start to free your minds as regard the enslaved states that you're in, so that you can liberate yourself and liberate your people from this hardship. We showed you these two, the first poem and this write-up for a purpose, that Blackness is not something to apologize for. We are not inferior. We only have our mind captured by the rapacious evil men that have captured the country. You start to free your mind, you will be free. And freedom is your God-given rights, and you have to start now. This is what we try to achieve here at the Movement Radio. That's that on that. We are going to move on to the next activity for today. Any comments, Abdullahi and Ibukun, on the first, the girls' poem of Blackness being Pride, and the story of Stephen Biko?
Well, the video of that lady was quite profound, and there's no further adumbration about it. You know, it's very well stated. The struggle of the black race, really, the struggle is real, and there's a calculated effort to keep our heads buried. You know, there's a calculated effort for us not to raise our heads and stand toe to toe with other humans. All right, they do not see us as humans. They see us like inferior entities. We don't know why some entities will have such dark souls, such that they will not allow their fellow humans to thrive and exercise their humanity and achieve the greatness of their potential. Why should we have to compete with one another when we can actually collaborate? All right, our skin color should not be a barrier. But it breaks my heart that humanity, we have made some level of progress. But as far as I'm concerned, I believe we still have a long way to go. And the fact that we have a long way to go is why I am very, very happy. I'm glad that we have entities like the Movement Radio poised to facilitate the progress of this project. It's a lifetime project to the very end. And of course, talking about Steve Biko, learning about the sacrifice of this great ancestor humbles me a great deal. That, whatever we are doing now, it's child's play, really, to the kind of sacrifices. People tell us that we spend so much time educating our people. We put ourselves at risk going from place to place, from marketplaces to other areas where the establishments have their conquered slave littered everywhere, waiting to indeed perpetuate evil against you. But we go regardless, knowing fully well that we still have a chance to escape in our own era, and the grip as far as we are concerned, compared to the level of grip that evil entities have on ancestors like Steve Biko, our own is still very much child's play as far as I'm concerned. We can see the level of torture to this great mind, and losing your life at 30 years old. As far as and he was aware of the danger of his activities up until the time that he was captured and was brutally murdered in cold blood, and he still did it regardless. These are my own idols. These are my own Orisha, in my own view. I do not respect any foreign entities that claimed to lose his life but got it back in 3 days' time, and of course still very much gallivanting in a spiritual utopia. I indeed have respect for Stephen Biko and many other African ancestors that paid the ultimate price just because they confronted the system. So in fact, the fact that he stated that there's nothing that you can do to an idea whose time has come is also a resonation to what is happening today. People are trying to quench the liberation struggle in Nigeria and across Africa. And even recently, they want to turn our back against our fellow African brothers and sisters. All right. We've got a bigger entity shaking the jar, causing the fight behind the curtain, behind the scene. They are the one orchestrating this whole, madness going on, where the oppressed are fighting each other. It should not be. It's a very unfortunate situation, but we know that there are powers that be that are causing this, this oppression, this uprising, really, of fights between the oppressed. But we know that the people will overcome eventually, and at some point, this whole game will be exposed, and the African race will make progress. We have Freno join us at the speaker section, and of course, Beatrice. Big shout out to you as listeners section. Please feel free to pick up the mic and let's have a conversation if you can. But if you can't, please drop your comments. We would read loud and clear. Freno, do you have any contribution as far as this topic is concerned? What's your perspective? Freno, are you there? Okay, it seems as though Freno is not ready for us, but well, it's fine. Okay.
Was not talked about enough. His own position about understood so well that it had nothing to do with just South African struggle alone, but all black people. It was in alliance with every black struggle around. It was in solidarity with the Namibian movement as well, and he was so young, just like Liberation Chat said, that he knew the consequence of what he was, doing at the time. That time was extremely brutal. Than now that we are hiding under the guise that, you don't want to die, but you won't go heaven. Those days they knew what they were into would lead to death. And he knew all of these things. And on that fateful day, he was caught on a roadblock, and that all ended the whole story about Stephen. But what will interest us, and this is what I think we should take home, is I love the fact that the lovers of Steve Biko, those who knew the role he played, all through the struggle, without any form of compromise, moving students from one point to another. At a time, the first movement he created, he felt they were not doing well enough. He moved away from there, started another movement. He was just organizing movements everywhere, radical movements, against the apartheid government.
But you know, what will interest us is till this very day, there is still an inquest on the person of Steve Biko. There's an inquest on Steve Biko. I think maybe it's, recently, I'm not sure the year, maybe 2 years ago, there's a news around the case resurfacing again. There's a news around this case resurfacing again. In the 90s, late 90s, there was a news around his case. That's okay. Those that were involved in his case, in fact, they were able to point out some people, who also testified what they did to Steve Biko whilst he was in prison. But of course, they found a way to excuse those narrative. Again, they brought out the case recently, and the case is still on. Is that this kind of case must continue to go on. The cases like the death of Malcolm X, we must not allow to slip away. That is where I have concern with the black people in America. Like, they want to move away from the death of Malcolm X, the death of Martin Luther King. No, people must be held accountable for their deeds. Everyone involved must be held accountable, because if you let it slip away, they will continue in this manner, this devilish manner of their character, knowing that, whether we like it or not, they will move away. Whether we like it or not, they will go away, they will, get away with whatever they did. And this is why those of us that have chosen this side of the bottom, because we believe that struggle movements, struggle people, and to achieve the freedom we seek through liberation starts from the bottom. It will come from the bottom up, not from up to the bottom. From bottom up, and up then would execute. We will drive this struggle, drive the revolution from bottom to the top. When we drive it from bottom to the top, the role of the top is to execute the institution we want to experience, the kind of system we want to have to run in our country. That then is the role of the top. But we will bring about that to happen in our country. And Steve Biko drove the whole idea about anti-apartheid all through, went through schools, educated people. I think he was even a medical doctor. I might be mixing it up, because I know he was into, because at the time also, he was expelled from school, but he got another admission into another school, and I think he was practicing medical, whatever. But that's what we're interested in. Those that are educated are the ones who really leading in the forefront of the struggle. Just like Amilcar Cabral. Amilcar Cabral was an engineer. He was an engineer. He came and said, man, this thing going on like this. He used all his engineering skills, gathered these people, started educating them. He stood his ground that they must not go into guerrilla warfare until they are enough the ideology. That was one of the reasons the PGAIC went, or PAIGC, sorry. One of the reasons they went through a long time in the Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde, and one other town. One of the reasons they went through a whole lot of period before they got their own independence was because Amilcar Cabral stood his ground that you cannot lead the people to struggle without conscientizing them. To conscientize them, you must educate them. It is after you have educated them, they will be clear, well, and convinced enough the purpose for the struggle, that even if they want to catch one of us, these people that have been schooled well enough will stand their ground to the end of the struggle. And what is said came to pass. This is very important. And you look at the likes of Steve Biko, the same thing. Isaac Boro, the same thing. Then you look at the likes of our own young people. Everybody, they are not interested. So where did we get it wrong? Where did we get it wrong as a people? That we must awaken the consciousness. It is not a comfortable or a convenient zone. But I know for a certain that my own child will ask, Daddy, what role did you play when Nigeria became like this? What legacy are we putting in play? What legacy are we putting in place? What exactly do we want to gain from this kind of destructive nation we are embracing right now? What legacy do we want to put out there? Everybody There is nothing the African child has benefited or has gained or has made for himself that it did not happen through bloodshed. Everything we achieved for you to be able to have access to take a bus, people shed their blood. For you to be able to take a phone and ring and make a call, people shed their blood. For you to be able to say you went to school, people shed their blood. For you to be able to say you want to speak, don't you understand how you were treated? You dare not speak. No wonder we Africans are so loud. Because for 400 years plus, what am I saying? Let me add all of them together. For 1,200 years plus, that is in addition with the Arab enslavement and the addition of the European enslavement, all together, almost 1,400 years plus. Our mouths were padlocked. How then do you want to speak? Who born you when you want to speak? No wonder we are allowed, because we've not spoken for centuries. We have not spoken for centuries as African people. People shed their blood. They did not give us freedom freely. Nothing. And it's not even freedom in the first place, because there was no liberation. You jumped the ladder. I wanted the constitution to go on like this. We jumped the ladder. We did not go for liberation so we can stick it. Because freedom is never given freely. You obtain it, you own it, you take it. You must take it. Just like the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven suffered violent and violent take it by force. Anybody that negotiates freedom for you is never going to make you free. You will be subjected to the person till the eternity. That is freedom. Nobody can argue it. But look at our own country, Nigeria. Whatever independence you want to celebrate today, you negotiated it. You never end it. You negotiated it. Yes, there were, don't get me wrong, there were well-meaning people that was interested in the struggle. That's this, that. But of course, we went ahead to negotiate. So what do you know that they negotiated? No wonder everybody still sees us as a company to access any day, anytime they wish for or they wish to. Steve Biko fought the good fight, the greatest of all fights during the apartheid era in South Africa. He was not a non-entity. He was a scholar. He was, I think, and I don't know if I can remember that part. I think he was a medical doctor. He was studying, I think he was studying medicine. So that you understand. So you don't come and think that it is your own profession that is special. You couldn't have studied whatever that you study now that you think you are the best people among every other person.
No, he left. I'll talk more about it later.
Yeah, please proceed. How are you?
Yeah. If people did not shed their blood, people shed every progress we make. If I thought you want to think about it or look at it as progress in Africa, every progress we not just in Africa, across the Caribbean, across the Americas, every single progress you think you have made, blood was shed for it. Blood. You reach your turn, you want to copy the whole thing. You reach your turn, you say you don't care anymore. You reach your turn, you abuse those who they fight for your existence. In a few years to come, you now say, hey, they were prophets. The same way we want label Fela prophets. When you know indeed fought for your freedom, it fought for you to be able to speak up. Today, you want to call him prophet. Fela was a prophet, so he knew everything. Now, how far? Okay, now what you don't know, say, okay, you knew everything. How far? What are you now doing about it today? It's never too late. What are you doing about it? What are you doing about all the time, year in, year out, decade in, decade out, century in, century out? Nigeria, as a nation, has always stood on the wrong side of the divide. We must stay the way it is. It does not make us less patriotic. I believe it makes us more patriotic, that we must speak truth about what we have been doing wrongly. Year out, decade in decade out, always on the wrong side of the divide. When is this going to end? When are we going to be on the right side of history? When are we going to stand up for ourselves and say, yes, indeed, this is our sovereignty? All the propaganda, can't we see the handwriting on the wall? All the propaganda, all the lies. Is it not glaring now? Isn't it glaring now that everything were all lies? What then can we build for ourselves? If you ask an average Nigerian now, what is the political ideology that they practice in Nigeria, your country? They have no idea. They have no idea. They don't even know where they belong politically. They just want to stay afloat. How then can we get this country to make progress when you don't even know what politics you are practicing? You have no idea what you are practicing. And we come, you say you want to embrace capitalism. And your forefathers, are they capitalists? Were they capitalists? Were they capitalists? Don't you know where you're coming from? Don't you know where you're coming from? What do you have? What capital do you have that you want to embrace capitalism that you know nothing about? What is Africa's business with capitalism? I'm asking you. Let's talk about it. What is Africa's business with capitalism? Where did it come from? When they told you, your forefather, in fact, I'm going too far. Ask your grandmother. They own their houses. Now we have no home. Go to America, the most capitalistic country in the world. Over 3 million people, homeless people. Since the 60s, they've been talking about this. On record, since the 60s, over 3 million people were homeless. Go to LA, you see people sleeping on the floor of LA. They don't have a home. Not because America, everybody knows. Think about it. Let's talk about this thing. Everybody in the world, every sensible person in the world knows that America can afford to house every American. Everybody in the world is clear that America has the capacity, has the financial capacity to own every single American. Just the way China house over 80 to 90% Chinese family own their own houses. Does that know who we were as African people? Your grandfather, they tell you, your grandfather rent house. Let me start from that conversation. Tell me now, if your own, okay, maybe some people young, right? Some people young. Let me take it a step further because of some young people. I mean, I'm close to my own 40, so maybe because of some young people in the among us. So let's take it a step further, right? For the sake of them. So let's take it a great. So not just your grandfather, your great-grandfather is the first one, your first great-grandfather. After your grandfather or your grandmother, the one before, so your great-grandfather or your great-grandmother, go ask them if they still there alive. They know nothing about renting house. They know nothing about renting house. They don't rent house. We have no idea about who you go and pay money to as landlord. We own it. It's our house. Till today, as I speak, my grandfather's house still there. It's still there. My grandmother's house is still there. Paternal side and maternal side, their house is still there. It's there. Not be something where they use. You guys say, oh, because you get house, you be one guy, big man. No, everybody get house. Everybody got access to the river. I don't think how many times I don't talk out for years. Please, if you want me to stop, I will stop. I don't talk out for years. Say, me, my basic swimming, nobody teach me how to swim. Basic swimming, I know. I don't know any other way to swim. Basic. We learned it because we all go to the river to swim. Nobody tells you don't go. Go. No, it's there, water there everywhere. Me, I be. Water, We are people of water. My grandfather, the water we pass our own, that we get we own and say our own side with this. Everybody with their ability, they know those things about us. Nobody say, at least family, they get this thing. They don't deploy now. Don't not deploy for her now. What am I saying in essence, so I don't discuss, is that we do not own anything anymore. We must go back to our source. Africans must go back to the source. Odò tí ó bá morísun á padà gbẹ. River wey no in source will eventually dry up. We must go back to our source. We must honor and respect those before us that shed their bloods. What road now do you want to play? You now see 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 is interested to educate you. You see Alaba Ferrari that is interested to inspire you to open your conscience. You see Liberation Cards, you see Beatrice, you see everybody, no matter how small or big. You see Sore, you see Keokuti, you see Fela, you see the ones that make us talk the one with their life. You are not interested to hear them. People will no pass you, we don't dig there before you. You are not interested. Always come late to the party. The same head where if they used to commit double justice. Now you say you will lead this nation to a promised land. The same brain when we say you go use, you see person when steal phone, you go lynch am, put fire on top and kill am there. Now phone, not care 3310, I ain't steal. Some in most cases, he not even steal. You go lynch am there. But the governor when they your house, when they pack your destiny through away, you go to say Baba Rere, Baba Ken Ketoran. You see, say Orinyope. Last thing I had no one correct. The one way see your destiny, you the hail am. The one way you just look, you just assume say it's still your phone. You link am. She say your head no correct. If your head correct, that's what you could think. Is that the kind of brain you want to use to decide how we can use to lead a nation? The brain, when you see, when we say, they say, if influencer rape a girl, that into teach her how to also, be engaging in social media and earn from social media. They cut the guy after the girl, dies. If the kind of brain when you get, when you talk, say, what is she doing here? Why is she wearing that kind of clothes? Why is she shaking her bum bum? That kind of brain. You want you stay lead this country? You want us to cave in for you because of your own foolish emotions? No way. We are sorry. We have moved past this. If you know that green wake, many of us don't wake. And we thank God for some people who don't play the role of elders to awaken us up. Because sometimes I wonder where I'm going to even be today. If not be the likes of Sore, if not be the like of AAC, if not be the like of TIB, if not be the like of even people like Shokuti, even though if not be the like of kind music where they hear sometimes as the music where I don't hear, if not be the likes of people like Alaba Ferrari, when they stay by us. For day, we will not all the things when we think say we know, we not going to apply them now. We're not going to apply. Think we could just connect ANC inside the equation, connect CIB inside the equation. Do you think we're going to be here discussing today our kind of liberation charts? This means that whether anybody likes it or not, we have made a huge impact. Whether anybody likes it or not, we have been able to gather ourselves in our little number to make a great impact no one else has made in the last decade in our country. So it makes it very important that we have an important role to bring about a better Nigeria. We have an important role to ensure we experience a better Africa. Until Africa is great, no African is safe. Let me repeat that very well so you go sink. Until Africa is great, no black man all over the world is safe. until Nigeria is great. No Nigerian all over the universe is safe. If you like, make it be Igbo. If you like, make it be Ibibio. If you like, make it be Yoruba. If you like, make it be Fulani. If you like, make it be Hausa. If you like, maybe Kaka. If you like, maybe be Ega. If you like, maybe whatever part of Nigeria where they don't say Nigeria you belong. As of now, you must stand together Gidigba to make Nigeria great. Because the only way Nigeria be great, Nigeria will protect you. Think about it. Only when Nigeria be great, Nigeria will protect you. Nigeria will need, I think it was Liberation Canada said this thing yesterday. Make you go check out. Show me one place where you see say that they Chinese people. All of them, they say they don't like Chinese. Most of the Western countries, they claim say they don't like China. In fact, recently, Europe is currently sanctioning. As Europe sanctioned China, China sanctioned Europe back. Oh man, you don't understand what greatness is. If you don't forget, last year, America sanctioned China. What did China do? China sanctioned America back. They sanctioned Nigeria too. Don't forget, so the Nigeria tariff. Now the tariff when they it no be here. They hit Nigeria with tariff, I think 11% or 15% tariff increment. What can Nigeria do? We move on. We accepted it. No problem. China, he give them back. That's what sovereignty is. You cannot come and threaten me. They know eventually sort out between themselves. Europe, as of last week or so, Europe and China, they drag something currently. They drag something. When you are great, you are great. They don't feel do you anyhow. They don't feel push you anyhow. Don't you want us to be great? But to be great, not be Shere Cambia. Not be Shere Cambia to be great. Not be say this thing. So therefore, people, it is important for us to know where we are coming from, so that we can know where we are headed to. It is important for us to have clarity as to all of these things. It is important for us to honor those before us that have laid down the blood for us and respect them. It is important for us to act as Africans first before any other thing else. Thank you. I'm still here. Bye for now.
Yeah, proceed, sir. Are you there?
Thank
Movement
you.
Radio, Chicago.
Yeah, thank you very much, OIA. In fact, that definitely deserves a hand of applause or more. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to say that just to add to what OIA was saying. Stephen Biko was a medical student. He was a final year medical student when he quit medical school, because he figured out that if he proceeded with medical school, he will end up being a second-class citizen in South Africa, even as a doctor. So it is better for him to confront the evil of apartheid and have it diminished, while the likes of Mandela were in jail as at that time. So he then analyzed the South African apartheid and saw that when a black man is going to be sent to jail, it's a black man that they will cover his face that will testify against him. So he saw that if this system is not dismantled, it doesn't matter whether he's a millionaire or a doctor in South Africa, he will still be a second-class citizen. And so he focused on the mind of the black man and said that the mind of the black man has already been captured. The biggest weapon the oppressor has is the mind of the oppressed. So he set out to liberate the mind of the oppressed. Personally, for me, of the Movement Radio, I believe that the problem we have in Nigeria is bigger than apartheid, is worse than apartheid. It's bigmanism. It's a system of feudalism that has been culturally incorporated into the DNA of Nigerians to mean the concept of bigmanism. Now, there are three factors how this system is far much more dangerous than apartheid. One, it is invincible. You cannot see it. Unlike black and white, you know what side you belong on, you know what color you are, you know what side you should be on. Big manism, you don't know what side you will be on because your brother, your sister, your father, your auntie are already in that big manism. Even you yourself, if you don't re-examine yourself, you might also be on the side of big manism because every Nigerian wants to be a big man. Make no mistake about that. They admire the big man. They desire his ways. They want to be like him. And if they get the opportunity, they will do worse than him. This is why apartheid was better than, but far much more less dangerous than big manism. Secondly, your relatives, everybody is involved with it. It's culturally incorporated into you. So let's look at all the Nigerian elites now. None of them is joining in the struggle. They're all pretending to be asleep instead of being awake. To be awake means you are conscious. But they will be the first to start criticizing the system. But they are not conscious of the fact that they are part of the system and they need to be conscious of that. This is why we do these things on the Movement Radio. We go to articles that can put a mirror in the face of Nigerians. You won't see a lot of them with us now. You know where they are? They are where they are discussing tribe. The Igbos were involved in the 66 coup. They hated the Hausas. The Hausas wants to kill all the Igbos. The Yorubas hate the Hausa. That is what attract them. These are the distractions that attract them. They're not here to grab knowledge and become conscious to see the pragmatic reality of those that have fashioned their own country against them. They are hating them. They are aiding them in their collective silence, in their ignorance of the fact that they are the enemy within. The ruiners have nothing to hold on to if there are no enemies within. The ruiners will run if not for the fact that we have what is a collective silence. And why is there silence? There will be silence because the people are not conscious. They are not conscious of their reality. They are either in a state of coma or they are practically dead, walking dead. And secondly, some who are the elites who went to school, who have read revolutionary books, who have heard of Stephen Biko, who have heard of apartheid, who have heard of segregation, who have heard of Martin Luther King, those ones are pretending to be asleep. I don't want to mention big political names. They're the ones that goes around to call people my brother, my excellency. If you know the level of problem that country is in, you will be engaged as a political leader to conscientize the people, not be forming alliances with the ruiners. So we have people purporting to want to come and solve your problem, forming alliances with the people that created the problem. So when people tell you that there's only two tribes, the ruiners tribe and you that is being ruined, you want to argue with them. No, I'm Yoruba. No, I'm Igbo. No, I'm Hausa. Yoruba is better than Igbo. Igbo is better. You want to go into these inanimate discussions that makes no relevance to the pragmatic reality of your pain. It has no impact on your pain. Come to where you can learn knowledge. Find out about yourself. Find out about what you're doing today that you shouldn't do tomorrow, so that your problem will disappear. But you are under this false assumption that you will always be close to the corridors of power. Your humanity should not be expressed only when you're close to the corridors of power. It is naturally given right by God, inalienable right. And you don't have it. Guess what? You don't even have it in your own father's land. So is it you that wants to go to Europe and complain about racism when you don't have a single right in your own African land? You want to go complain in another man's land that the white or the Western world is treating you bad. So your problem is collective. A lot of our people don't want to face it. They don't want to come to us. They don't want to get themselves. They don't want to wake up. But we're not going to stop because of them. We're only concerned about a few good ones among us. That's all we need. And we will continue to preach the message of consciousness. Black consciousness, the message that we are not brought to this world to suffer. We are not brought to this world to be fools, to be slaves, to be at the bottom feeder. No. We are born to this world to fulfill our full potential. And if the black man potential has come out, God, you will see the glory of God manifest. And they know this. But there are some enemies among us who we have to identify and castigate. For as long as we don't do that, we are swimming against the wave. So that's what the likes of Biko did. They had foresight. Brilliant medical student, brilliant mind, could see South Africa in 20, 30 years, 50 years from now, if this apartheid thing is not crushed. I don't know why our Nigerian elites cannot see it. Only one of them is talking about crushing it, so the others are talking about managing it, reforming it, keeping it on. Keep the big man, the same big man that has been in charge since 1960. The same 1966 boys that took the country backward. Same 1960 Buharis, the Babangidas, the Tinumbus, the Obasanjos. Look at your history, the same boys, and you have 40-year-olds arguing on Twitter supporting these old men. Stephen Biko died at the age of 30. We have 30-year-old young Nigerians with a doctorate, a PhD, arguing on behalf of Atiku. We are in deep trouble. Those are the ones that should be championing this cause, conscientizing their people, educating the market woman. But where are they? They're saying, yes, sir. They're paying respect to those that made them run out of their own country. Over what? Over crumbs. You see the collective world, the way the world is, that everybody is moving forward. We are moving back into the Stone Age. And yet, our elites, those who went near a school, I don't even know whether they went through a school, but those who went near a school, you see what they are talking about, what they are arguing about, what they are debating. Go on X now, because you can show them a few samples. Go through a few pages. Just take 2 minutes to hear what conversation is about. Your stomach would run, because why would the people who have this level of problem be talking about this level of rubbish? And they want to be right in their stupidity. They want to be right in their foolishness. And Olodo uprising is not just an uprising, it's an uprising that has courage, whereby an idiot wants you to be sensitive to their feeling because they want to impart foolishness into you. And you're supposed to just sit down and take it and not put a stop to it. Like we say here in the Movement Radio, everyone, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has them, but not all opinions. Some are smelly as shitty as hell, and it's our duty to point it out. We do that a lot here by picking. We don't do news. We don't regurgitate. We don't say, oh, Buhari said, Babangida said, Abacha said, Tinubu son said, Wike said. Those are ruiners. Their views shouldn't count. They should be discarded. They should not be mainstream. Nobody should be hearing what they have to say. The likes of Reno or Mokri, nobody should be hearing or sharing what they are saying. It's like putting a madman on stage. People like Buwala, people like Abati, people like Onopasa, and their miscreants that are on X. This is until we get to the point where those people will be afraid to hold the microphone. We're not going anywhere in that country. But the moment you keep giving them the microphone and you stand as a crowd to listen to them, we're in trouble. Is Abdullah in the studio? Does he have anything to say about that lady's poem? And
Abdullah is not in the studio, unfortunately. I think he sent a private message that.
Okay, let me check it, and then we're gonna move on to the next. Any other person there demanding a microphone before we move on to the next one?
No, not at all. Everybody
is leaving early. Okay. Yeah, we want to thank Abdullah for that wonderful first article about how that article is really, I think we have to do that article again. So any other person needing a microphone before we go to the next one?
No, not from X. I think we have indeed passed the mic to everyone who wants to speak.
Everybody, yeah, we got some people there on Instagram with us, and Rinze Moss, we thank you. Governor, Pretty Boy, we thank you. And some people here on TikTok that have joined us. I can't see this TikTok thing clearly, so it's hard for me to call out the names. Josiman, there's quite a lot of names here. I can't call everybody. Alan, Bobby, Valdez. Quite a lot of people here. I can't call everybody. So on YouTube, I don't know who's commenting. I'm going to see if there's any messages for us on